Welcome to MALDEF's 2024 San Antonio Awards Gala, brought to you by Adobe, Verizon, La Unión del Pueblo Entero, Lupe Votes, AARP, Texas, the Herrera Law Firm, Regina Montoya, Dr. Manuel Berriozabal and the Honorable Maria Antonieta Berriozabal, Domingo Garcia Law Office, Dr. Elba Garcia, DMCA, Alamo Colleges District, San Antonio College, the Alamo Colleges District, Office of the Chancellor, Norma V. Cantu, Carlos R. Soltero, St. Mary's University School of Law, the Southwest Voter Registration and Education Project, Methodist Healthcare Ministries, Trinity University, Mass, UTSA, HACU, the University of Houston Law Center, Senator Jose Menendez.
MALDEF is pleased to present this short video from our National Gala sponsor, Verizon.
I met William in the 6th grade. From the beginning, he wanted to explore things.
My first time witnessing the Verizon Innovative Learning Program, Mr. Gonzalez put a robot in my hand.
He could speak, but he still didn't have that confidence.
For the City of the Future project, we presented what we would want Compton to be like.
These are ideas that are coming from them.
We're not just like moving away from the community, but actually going in and helping the community. We have hope. Now is the time to think about the future.
Damas y caballeros, join me in welcoming evening news anchor for Ken 5 and your host for this evening, the brilliant and captivating native-born Texan, Isis Romero.
Buenas noches. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. And welcome to the MALDEF 2024 San Antonio Awards Gala. I am honored to be your host this evening and so excited to be here on behalf of the MALDEF Board of Directors and MALDEF President and General Counsel Thomas Saenz. MALDEF has a tremendous program tonight of amazing honorees, each of whom has devoted their lives to a shared mission of promoting a greater America for all of us, especially for our large and growing Latino community. But first, please allow me to begin by acknowledging the wonderful mariachi who performed during our reception, Lanier High School's Mariachi Engranaje Azul. Thank you to each member of the group and to your director, Jose Nunez. Yes. MALDEF opened its doors in 1968 right here in San Antonio, creating a legal organization to promote the civil rights of Latinos living in the United States. Today, MALDEF is known as the Latino legal voice for civil rights in America. For more than 56 years, MALDEF has worked in the courts, in the halls of Congress, and state and local legislatures to create new laws and policies with wide-ranging impact for the Latino community and for our nation as a whole. MALDEF works to secure the right to a meaningful vote, to equal education opportunity, to a non-discriminatory workplace, and fairness and justice in every endeavor across the country. This includes MALDEF's 1982 Supreme Court victory in Plyler versus Doe. Yes. Which guarantees the right to a free kindergarten through 12th grade public education for all children, regardless of immigration status. A victory that is the foundation for ongoing efforts to provide citizenship, not just to dreamers, but millions of others. Tonight, MALDEF honors 3 individuals who have made immeasurable contributions and are united by a commitment to the principles of equality and fairness for all. I have the pleasure of announcing and introducing MALDEF's first esteemed honoree this evening, Community Development Manager for Methodist Healthcare Ministries, Andrew Hernandez. Andrew is, yes. Andrew is the recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Excellence in Community Service Award. And Andrew was born and raised here in San Antonio. He grew up during a time when Mexican Americans were the minority here. This was a time when children would face corporal punishment for speaking Spanish, and there were very few Latinos in positions of power. However, Andrew's own father would provide a role model for political advocacy. He frequently shared his grievances with his congressmen, and he would welcome political candidates into his home. Andrew's political consciousness continued to grow strong in high school, where he joined the UFW Strike Committee in San Antonio and joined the local picket lines. It was with the encouragement of Mario Compean, a founder of La Raza Unida Party, that Andrew applied to Trinity University that was making an effort to accept more community organizers. In college, he majored in political science and continued to organize. At Trinity, he created the Chicano think tank dedicated to research on how to increase the Latino vote, as well as raise political consciousness. And one of his professors introduced him there to Willie C. Velasquez during this time. Together, they began to work on increasing voter turnout by increasing voter registration. Andrew split his time between political engagement and studying in seminary school to become an ordained minister. After starting his own church, he took a sabbatical at the behest of Willie Velasquez in order to help him at the Southwest Voter Registration Education Project. Sadly, Willie would pass away a few years later, but he left the organization in the very capable hands of Andrew Hernandez. Under his leadership as president, Andrew dedicated resources to increasing research efforts. He was able to help grow Latino voter registration from 3 million to 4.2 million before he left in 1994. Since then, Andrew has been the executive director of several organizations dedicated to increasing the Latino vote and improving the Latino community. In 2013, Andrew joined Methodist Healthcare Ministries as their community development manager. Methodist Healthcare Ministries is a faith-based nonprofit that aims to provide access to health care for impoverished people in Texas. Most recently, in 2023, the organization was able to invest $149 million to advance this mission of equity. Andrew has been able to combine his expertise in politics as well as his faith in order to dedicate his life to helping the community. Now let's take a look at the video profile MALDEF created for Andrew.
Well, Andrew's accomplishments, I think, fill the landscape throughout the Southwest and in other parts of the country where he has shared his leadership as well, but more profoundly in the Southwest, where he and together with Willie Velasquez blazed a trail, a community past community, just going through state by state in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, California, just connecting with people at the grassroots. And from that, we've seen over the last 40 years, 50 years now, things are flourishing throughout the landscape, throughout the Southwest and in other parts of the country, that Willie Velasquez and Andy Hernandez together as a team blazed that trail, planting seeds that were being cultivated over the years, empowering people in communities everywhere.
Well, one of the things that I love about Andy's accomplishments, besides the work that he has done and the people that he has mentored a lot of leaders, provided a lot of advice, is that he established, along with MALDEF, the first redistricting trainings, helping people draw their own lines at the local and county level and school board level, schools, municipalities, and counties. Something that wasn't being done. All of us are engaged in the redistricting process, and we think about the congressional districts, the state senate districts, the state house districts, but we don't think necessarily how important it is to also draw the lines at the school board level, at the municipality level. And he was part of drawing those lines. San Antonio went from an at-large election system to a system where now almost every member on the city council are women, but they're representing districts voted by the voters in their community, something that MALDEF and Southwest would have worked.
With the work that we've done at MHM, his work has been really around coaching and rooting our programs to create change in disinvested communities. And he has been able to do that. So through his experience and through his coaching of our team members, he has accomplished for our team members to change how they do things and how they relate to communities. And they have been helping to drive some of that change. So from being able to establish free clinics to parks, swimming pools in communities that where that would have never happened before.
Andrew's legacy is his family, his commitment for justice, and the fight to make sure that our communities are respected. I think that when we look back and think about all the things that Andy was able to accomplish, are those things that he gave us a voice, that he moved forward the community in ways that we would have never thought about. And also, he mentored many, many leaders who are now running organizations and are elected officials.
When I think about Andy's accomplishments, there's just so many to mention. If we thought about titles, we could think about him being a pastor of the Methodist Church. We could think about him being a research assistant, him being a president of Southwest Voter, him being the executive director of a 21st Century Leadership Center. So I think if we talked about it in that way, there's systems that he's moved. He put himself in whatever system, whether it's a church, whether it's an institution of education, whether it's a nonprofit, or whether it's at the DNC, he was finding ways to embed himself, to ask the hard questions, and to figure out how to move resources to a way that advantage those who have been marginalized. I think there's a gazillion other accomplishments that are connected to his titles. But I think if there were one, that probably most people would talk about don't have to do with his professional accolades. They have to do with who he is as a person. His biggest accomplishment is how he shows up for other people, how he helps them to understand their own place in fighting for something much larger that's not themselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Andrew Hernandez.
Well, thank you for that, and thank you for all those that participated in the video. I almost didn't recognize myself. I said, okay. But I really want to thank MALDEF for this special recognition. It means a lot to me coming from MALDEF. What MALDEF, along with another organization of my heart, the Southwest Voter Registration Education Project, and Dr. Juan Andrade and the United States Hispanic Leadership Institute out of Chicago have done and continue to do for now almost over a half a century is to change and transform the way Latinos live in this country. We often look at where we need to go, what we haven't finished, what we haven't totally accomplished or achieved. We forget how far we've come. We're in a fight. It's a different kind of fight because we have MALDEF, we have Southwest Voter, we have all our organizations and our leadership and the people that are being honored here tonight still making the fight, and we're better positioned to win the fights than we've ever been in the history of our people here in the United States. I have been blessed, and I really say that sincerely blessed. Although sometimes I think I was just lucky, but no, I've been blessed. In some small way, being part of this struggle that we all in this room have been part of. And for that, I am very thankful. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Again, your lifetime advocacy for the Latino community serves as an incredible inspiration to all of us. So again, thank you. At this time, I would like to bring to the stage our San Antonio Regional Counsel, Fatima Menendez.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, ECs, for the introduction, and thank you, everyone, for supporting MALDEF by joining us tonight. It is so nice to see all of you here, including longtime friends, board members, and former MALDEFians. This year, MALDEF enters its 56th year of service to the Latino community. Our unwavering commitment and perseverance is personified by our leadership, President and General Counsel Thomas Saenz, and Vice President of Litigation Nina Perales, Tom's resolute vision and Nina's skillful execution guide MALDEF's work and staff. I am honored to share with you some of the incredible work that our San Antonio Regional Office has done and continues to do. This work is a result of passionate and devoted staff that always get the job done. I would like for you to stand as I call your name. Our devoted support staff that have been with us for over 3 decades and keep the train on the tracks. Carmen Leja and Isabel Piña. I don't see y'all standing. There we go. Our determined and talented attorneys whose passion and commitment fuels them, Julia Longoria and Sabrina Rodriguez. The tireless advocacy of our San Antonio office staff allows MALDEF to continue its efforts across the southwestern region to protect and advance the civil rights of Latinos. MALDEF continues to lead the defense of DACA in the face of a challenge by Texas and other states. Next month, our Vice President of Litigation, Nina Perales, will argue before the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals on behalf of DACA recipients fighting to preserve DACA. We are extremely proud to say that this is the 7th year that DACA has been kept alive after Texas filed its lawsuit to end it. This means that DACA recipients continue to receive the benefits of work authorization and relief from deportation each year that DACA has remained in place. We are incredibly honored to continue to represent DACA recipients in this fight. This year, MALDEF filed Lupe versus Abbott, a legal challenge to dangerous and xenophobic Texas legislation passed last year that empowers Texas state and local officials to arrest, detain, prosecute, and incarcerate individuals for immigration-related offenses, and order the removal of individuals from the United States. Texas enacted the law under the guise of border security, but it is dangerous and unconstitutional and ignores the reality that immigrants and their contributions benefit our state and our country. MALDEF cannot do this work alone. We are incredibly grateful to our families who provide the love and support we need to be able to do this work, as well as for our extended MALDEF family, which includes everyone here. To our guests this evening, I express my sincere appreciation for your generous support of MALDEF's vigorous advocacy. To our honorees, felicidades, and thank you for all you do. From the courtroom to the Capitol, MALDEF will continue to protect the civil rights of Latinos. Thank you all for your own leadership and for your trust in Team MALDEF. Muchísimas gracias.
Well, now it is with great pleasure that I introduce MALDEF's next honoree this evening, Saúl Almendares, better known as Casandro el Exótico. Worldwide famous luchador and recipient of MALDEF's Lifetime Achievement Excellence in Community Service Award. Casandro was born as Saúl Armendáriz in El Paso, Texas. At a young age, he went to Juarez and began training as a luchador. He also came out as gay to his family and was warmly embraced by everyone except his father. Despite this, Saúl continued to train hard and work towards his dream. Officially, Saúl debuted in 1987 as Mr. Romano. However, he was encouraged to drop this persona and become an exótico. Exóticos are luchadores that portray gay stereotypes by exaggerating their mannerisms and dressing more glam. At this time, exóticos were meant to be taken down easily by the macho luchadores. Many exóticos also stayed in the closet despite being flamboyant on stage. This all changed when Saul dropped his persona as Mr. Romano and re-debuted as Rosa Salvaje. In his first ever match as Rosa, he wore the train from his sister's quinceañera dress. Bravely, he decided to fight as a maskless and openly gay exótico. Fighting in this way and refusing to lose a fight, he was able to revolutionize the sport and change it forever for other gay wrestlers. It was a year later that Saul officially took on the name Cassandro and continued carving his niche. He eventually became so popular that he participated in a career-changing match against the famous El Hijo del Santo in 1991. The match not only gained Cassandro the respect of a luchador legend, but also the general public. He was able to keep the momentum going in 1992 when he became the first exótico ever to win a Universal Wrestling Association championship. However, Cassandro suffered a stroke in 2021, forcing him to leave the wrestling ring. Now he travels the world sharing his story and collaborating artistically with filmmakers and photographers. In 2023, his life story was turned into a feature film starring Gael Garcia Bernal called Cassandro. It premiered with much acclaim at the Sundance Film Festival, receiving glowing reviews. Cassandro has also recently opened Mama Lucha Promotions, the leading lucha libre promoter in El Paso. Cassandro helped to break barriers for LGBT performers in the world of luchador, and now he is holding the door open for promising wrestlers to follow in his footsteps. Let's take a look at the video MALDEF produced to pay tribute to Cassandro's work.
We chose to honor Cassandro because his life is a demonstration of the kind of courage, tenacity, audacity, and resilience that is an example, one repeated throughout Latino history, of what it takes to break down barriers, to overcome discrimination, and to ultimately achieve equality. His demand in his chosen career to be recognized fully for who he was in its entirety is really exemplary for all.
Sabes que tengo una anécdota que siempre la cuento. Ese es cuando él luchaba con máscara y se quita la máscara, ¿verdad? Para ser exótico. Entonces él agarra mi vestido de quinceañera y él lo corta y él hace su primera bata con ese vestido. O sea, su primera, ya ves que él usa batas para luchar, o sea, su presentación. Y esa vez él cortó mi vestido de quinceañera y se hizo su primer bata de exótico. Cuando lo miraba en la televisión y cuando los comentaristas, o sea, halagaban el trabajo de él, ver cómo la gente lo quería, ver que él viajaba a Londres, a Japón, todo eso era como pues un orgullo ver lo que él andaba en todas partes. Fue una relación muy bonita, éramos 6 hermanos, pero en casa éramos 4 y él estaba muy pegada con mis hermanos, o sea, siempre fuimos unidos. Como Saúl Armendáriz, como te digo, fue mi hermano, crecimos juntos, unidos. Como Cassandro, pues fue un ejemplo a seguir para muchas personas, incluyéndome a mí también. O sea, hay muchas cosas que estoy orgullosa de él. Pues él ha viajado mucho. Mucha gente lo ha buscado para hacer documentales, películas, y pues sí, son varias cosas de las que yo estoy orgullosa de él, la verdad. Pues es que ahí vienen muchos luchadores exóticos atrás de él, que lo ven como un ídolo, un ejemplo. So, yo creo que eso, el ejemplo que les ha dejado a los otros luchadores exóticos.
Yo de hecho, ya los veía en televisión, de hecho fue de las inspiraciones para yo convertirme en un luchador exótico. Que digo, de que tengo uso de razón, que yo decía, quiero ser luchador, pero quiero ser luchador exótico. Él fue de mis inspiraciones como Pimpinela, pero digo Casandro porque era un personajazo de distinguido, elegancia, personalidad y todo eso, y fue lo que me llamó mucho la atención, ¿no? O sea, esa fue mi impresión de que dije, wow, o sea, no manches. Y dije, yo quiero ser así. Yo siempre lo he dicho, él es un guerrero en toda la extensión de la palabra y nunca se deja caer. Digo, tenemos altas y bajas, pero yo creo que es una de las personas que, como muchos de nosotros, no nos damos por vencidos, ¿no? Yo creo que el amor de la familia, el amor del público que de verdad, o sea, nos entregan y nos dan, es incondicional. He pasado muchas. Pues es que mira, cuando él venía a la Ciudad de México, nosotros siempre salíamos, nos divertíamos. Y era de las veces que yo salía, porque de verdad ahorita ni salgo ni nada. Pero cuando él venía era pues diferente porque pues ya íbamos aquí, ya íbamos allá. O sea, gratos recuerdos. Siempre, siempre, siempre por delante. Él antes de irse o cuando llegaba o antes de irse, siempre Basílica de Guadalupe, a dar gracias a la Virgencita de Guadalupe, muy devoto. Pero él siempre, 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 nunca se va ni nunca se iba sin visitar cuando viene aquí a la Ciudad de México, la Basílica de Guadalupe. Yo siempre lo acompañaba igual.
Right now with his stroke, está haciendo mucho esfuerzo. Te cuento que él en cuanto salió del hospital, él quiso manejar, o sea, él es muy independiente, aunque no pueda hablar, aunque no pueda caminar bien, él va solo. Y lo más impresionante es que no puede hablar y él va a una comida y él sabe ordenar su comida, él se las ingenia, ¿sí me entiendes? Y eso fue lo mismo antes del stroke, porque él siempre fue así. O sea, él bien luchón, bien independiente, a él no le importan los obstáculos que haya.
I think his legacy is twofold. He went into his chosen profession and insisted over years on success while maintaining his full identity. And at the end of the day, that success while retaining your full identity and having it recognized and acknowledged is what we need more of in this country. It's really what we've seen in history for Latino civil rights, but we need more of that to break down the barriers and achieve the kind of equity that will ensure that our community continues to have a major impact on our nation's success. You add to that he now faces the challenges of a serious disability and faces them with dignity, faces them with charm, faces them with the kind of resilience and tenacity that characterized his career. And I know that he will achieve great things to add to his legacy as future years go by.
Ladies and gentlemen, due to a medical condition, Cassandro will present a pre-recorded message, but please give a warm welcome and congratulations to Cassandro el Exótico.
MALDEF. Cassandro el Exótico, born Saul Almendaris in 1970, is a renowned professional wrestler known for breaking in the world of lucha libre. Embracing his openly gay identity, Cassandro challenges traditional norms within the sport. Beginning his wrestling career in 1987, Cassandro quickly gained recognition for his flamboyant persona, vibrant costumes, and impressive in-ring skills. Overcoming adversity, including a challenging childhood and struggles with substance abuse, he became a trailblazer for LGBTQ plus representation in professional wrestling. Throughout his career, Cassandro achieved numerous championships and accolades, including the World Wrestling Welterweight Championship in 1992. His resilience and charisma have made him a beloved figure in the wrestling community, transcending cultural boundaries and inspiring others to become their true selves. Today, Cassandro is facing new challenges in speech and mobility, following a stroke on May 7, 2021, just weeks before the completion of his third film. Cassandro is an advocate for people living with aphasia. Cassandro's story is a testament to perseverance and self-expression, leaving an indelible mark on the history of lucha libre and opening doors for a more inclusive future in the world of professional wrestling. MALDEF is honored to award Cassandro with the Lifetime Achievement Excellence in Community Service Award at our 2024 San Antonio Gala for his commitment to human rights and social justice.
Cassandro, for showing us that against all odds, you can always get back up and stand proudly in your truth. Thank you. Now I have the pleasure of introducing MALDEF's final esteemed honoree for this evening, the former executive director of Lupe, La Unión de Pueblo Entero, Juanita Valdez Cox, receiving the Lifetime Achievement Excellence in Community Service Award. Juanita Valdez Cox was born to a family of migrant farm workers in Mercedes, Texas. From an early age, Juanita labored in the fields alongside her family, becoming familiar with the deplorable working conditions faced by her community. It was here that her commitment to fighting for opportunities and rights for farm workers and low-income families crystallized. She started her career as a young woman helping children of farm workers at the Migrant Head Start program. At the same time, she furthered her own education by enrolling in Pan American University and Texas Southmost College. Later in her adulthood, Juanita would devote herself fully to the United Farm Workers of America. She first joined the organization as a community organizer in the Rio Grande Valley. With her tenacity and dedication, she was able to work up the ranks until she was elected to serve on the UFW National Executive Board in 2000. 2 years later, Juanita convinced the board to reactivate a long-dormant nonprofit called La Unión del Pueblo Entero. Lupe was founded by Cesar Chavez and Dolores Huerta, and it fought for the people in the communities that Juanita grew up in. As executive director of Lupe, Juanita helped to add more streetlights in the colonias of Hidalgo County, prevented the construction of a private prison in McAllen, and won $14 million for drainage improvements in Hidalgo County. Juanita has led Lupe, an organization that is 8,000 people strong, with love and care. She has done more than lead a nonprofit, though. She has created a community of future leaders dedicated to improving living conditions and creating opportunities for even the most disadvantaged. Now let's enjoy this video MALDEF created as a tribute to Juanita.
You know, Juanita started off as a farm worker with her family, so they traveled across the United States. and she worked extremely hard. All the different crops, you know, they would move from one state to the next, trying to time it with whatever crop would be coming out. And she started that at a very young age. So she knew what it was like to work in the fields and all the different issues that they faced every day as a family, not only with the traveling, but the disrespect and the abuses and the exploitations and the lack of good wages and the working conditions that they were in and so forth. She experienced all that. And I think Juanita, you know, as she came to work for the United Farm Workers, she brought that passion and that desire to want to make things better. And she saw the work that Cesar Chavez was doing and Dolores Huerta and so many other leaders within the farm worker movement, that she brought along that personal experience that gave her the drive to want to do whatever it takes to bring about change. In other words, she had that real si se puede attitude. I mean, nothing was going to stop Juanita from bringing about the changes necessary.
I really think that you have to put Juanita's legacy in the context of the movement here in Texas. Texas, as all of the world knows, is the most anti-farm worker and anti-Mexican state in the country. It's always been. It's been my history as a farm worker, Juanita's history as a farm worker. So in 1966, when the poorest farm workers in this country, in this state of Texas, struck in the fields of Starr County, that started this movement that we love so much. In 1966, as part of that movement, those workers faced the power of the state against them. As soon as the workers struck at that time, the governor, who was John Connolly, called in the Texas Rangers, because John Connolly was a grower. He's from Floresville. He's a grower. He called in the Texas Rangers, and he stomped that movement down pretty effectively. But it didn't die. And so we continued. And so from that period on, we have emerged, right? And we have continued. So we were organizing farm workers for a long time. And then when that whole demographic, that whole population decreased, Juanita was at the helm. She took it over. There was no quarreling about what she had to do. Even though she had children that she was raising, she just took it over and decided that she was going to do it. And frankly, she has done a marvelous job.
Juanita Valdez Cox is truly a walking institution. She has left and built La Unión del Pueblo Entero in South Texas. It took her wisdom, her knowledge of the community to really make the decision to expand UB to South Texas and to grow it into the organization that it is today. Here in South Texas, we were able to truly engage the UB membership, and it was through her leadership that UB has become one of the most prominent organizations in the state and the leading organizing and immigrant rights organization in South Texas.
The biggest accomplishment of Juanita, in my opinion, was that most of the leaders that we had in La Unión del Pueblo Entero was women of color, low-income women. They typically very oppressed by the systems, and she really believed in giving that space to women, respect women, and make the space so they can actually begin to use their voice to create the change that they needed for the communities.
She really established the idea of a community union there in South Texas. She put a face on Lupe, La Unión del Pueblo Entero. She ensured that people knew who we were, and she set up the elements in terms of what it takes to build an organization like that. And it's not something that just falls out of the sky. It takes tremendous work to be able to have a grassroots organization that's built on community organization, that's built on getting people engaged and people from all walks of life and people that have been disrespected time and time again, and giving them the faith and the hope and the will to want to do something to change their communities, that have always been told, no, you can't do that. You don't have the competence, you don't have the education, you don't have the ability economically or anything like that. And yet she was able to provide that to folks and establish an organization that has a tradition of doing that. And so I think that is not something that's going to go away. La Unión del Pueblo Entero is branded there in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas. And it will carry on for decades upon decades, as the farm worker movement has, as our movement has, as our founders, helped us get us going in the early 1960s. So over 6 decades ago, the organizations that have been developed since then and that they helped found and create, that those organizations continue to thrive and continue to do what we set out to do, and that's to really improve the lives of people, giving them the ability where they themselves can be involved in creating the change necessary within their respective communities. So Juanita her legacy will carry on there in the Rio Grande Valley. Even though she's now here in San Antonio, Texas, people will never forget Juanita Valdez Cox down there.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome and congratulations to Juanita Valdez Cox.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias. Parece que no hay mucha luz.
¡Que se pueda! ¡Que viva la unión del pueblo!
¡Que viva! Está medio oscuro aquí. ¡Que viva los miembros! Good evening. Muy buenas noches a todos. And thank you, Arturo, Rebecca, Tanya, and all the Martita for the kind words. And thank you, Mr. Tomas Sainz, President and General Counsel of MALDEF. There's a person here that has stood with us for many, many years through the different lawsuits that we have filed. Her name is Nina Perales. If she's here, she was here, but I don't know if she's here. Ya está. Una buena luchadora, no le gana. And also, of course, I want to recognize my husband of 52 years that put up with. Tonight, I am joined by two of my grandchildren. Rima está a ti también aquí. Mateo Lucas y Evangelina Amalí. Thank you. Thank you. Hoy y Nina es la directora de litigation aquí en San Antonio. But with her, there are also some amazing attorneys that have helped us throughout the years fight the different lawsuits that we've had to fight. I am very, very appreciative of the members. Estoy muy agradecida y me da mucho gusto de que ustedes todos vinieron del Valle y los quiero mucho a todos. They traveled here. They're committed, like me, to the union, to Lupe, and the struggle to overcome discrimination and racism that is so strong here in Texas. Over the last 4 decades, I was looking at my picture. I said, that was a few years ago. Over the last 4 decades, I have had the great privilege of working alongside magnificent troops of strong women and men from whom I drew inspiration and encouragement. Of course, the late Cesar Chavez, que descanse en paz, Dolores Huerta, Arturo Rodriguez, the former UFW president that's here with us, Paulo Chavez and Rebecca Flores were great examples. But many others, like Maria Gomez, ¿dónde está la compañera Maria Gomez? Oh, acá. And all of the great Martita, Esther, todos aquí, Emma, Aldape, los señores Aldape, todos que acompañaron a Tania para estar aquí también. Le doy las gracias porque esto fue posible por la organización Lupe y la organización Lupe Votes, que son las que ayudaron para que estuviera todas estas personas aquí. They have faced injustices, and one day, these farm workers like myself and my parents who joined the union in 1979 and said, we just simply said, ya no, ya basta. Damos de comer a este mundo. Estas manos y las manos de aquí de mis compañeras que supieron de ese trabajo. You know, we fed this world, and one time Cesar and Dolores and Rebecca, Arturo, all were part of saying, you know what, that is honored. That is an honor of that work. Who else does, you know, all of these vegetables, and many times we don't recognize it, but those of us that worked on it realize what it took and the hard work that it is to be able to feed this world. So we're very proud of that, and that's why we continue to work with. But with these great people at our side, we stand firm, defending our communities from powerful interests intent upon continuing to deny us justice. Community-based organizations and the people they represent have long been on the front lines, fighting in the streets and the courts and the ballot box against the threats we face. And I am proud to say that MALDEF has been on our side all the way. Quería conocer this is Mr. Saldaña and his niece. Where is, ¿dónde está? Laura. They worked with Cesar Chavez, and he did in California. And since California to Texas, and I would like to also recognize them because they brought and were very, very supportive to the United Farm Workers here in South Texas. So, a la familia Saldaña, Don Balta, Don Balta. In closing, I would like to say that at long last, our enemies have surrendered, and we have achieved final victory. But if you look at the coming presidential election, you know that is not true. We still have a long way to go to defeat evil. But with MALDEF and the examples of dedicated union and Lupe members at our side, we know that we will continue to fight back against the forces of evil. And when we fight, we win. Por ahí se ha escuchado. Thank you very much. Gracias. Thank you.
Thank you, Juanita, for tirelessly working to secure a better life for our community and for our future. And thank you again to Lupe.
And now, let's welcome back to the stage, fresh from his induction into the American Academy of Arts and Sciences, MALDEF's President and General Counsel, Thomas Saenz.
So, what a incredibly inspiring evening. I hope you all enjoyed not just, of course, the meal, networking with friends, making new friends, but hearing from our incredible honorees. So as always, I begin by thanking those responsible for such a special evening. I want to first thank our terrific MC for the second year in a row, who's led us with such grace. Isis Romero, thank you. As you all know, we were founded here in San Antonio and maintain a particular connection to the city and the state, and we have many, many former but continuing Maldefians in our audience. So let me first thank our board members, past and present, for all of their incredible work in guiding the organization, and ask that all of our board members, current and from the past, please stand. We also have a number of current or former MALDEF staff members in the audience. I know because so many of them come up to me and say that they were a part of MALDEF before I even knew what MALDEF was, or something along those lines. I absolutely agree with them. But there are so many here, and they all have sacrificed so much for the importance of our mission. So let me ask our staff members, current and past, to please stand. And of course, putting together an event like this is never easy. So let me thank the staff members who are here and responsible for this event, starting with our Vice President of Development, Gina Montoya. Bryant Gomez, Jessica Barahona, Destiny Cortez, Jose Delgado, Israel Delgado, and the rest of the team. Thank you so much for all the work that you did. And I take this one more opportunity to recognize, of course, our incredibly inspiring honorees, not just from their remarks this evening, but more important, from their ongoing actions to ensure that our Latino community and its allied communities can continue to thrive in our country. Thanks again to the pioneering and dedicated Andy Hernandez. The intrepid and incomparable Cassandro. And of course, the iconic and inspiring Juanita Valdez-Cox. As Juanita mentioned, we certainly live in challenging times. And challenging times is simply a polite way of saying that we live in an era of almost unprecedented inhumanity and cruelty. We live in an era where presidential and vice presidential candidates spread knowingly false stories about immigrants capturing, killing, and eating pets. Never would have thought it. Never would have thought it possible. We live in an era of state attorneys general invading the homes of elderly patriots whose only alleged crime is helping others to cast a legitimate ballot in elections. We live in a time when 3 states, potentially 4, based on that Arizona ballot proposition in November, will empower state court judges, criminal court judges, to enter orders of exile for human beings, a punishment more appropriate in medieval times than the 21st century. We live in a time when politicians nationwide can freely and do freely characterize peaceful migrants as military invaders. But we know in this room and beyond that the solution to these incredibly inhumane and cruel times is to restore democracy and the rule of law in the United States of America. Both of these, democracy and the rule of law, are of course central to the mission of MALDEF to promote the civil rights of all Latinos living in the United States. We know that despite the origins of our Constitution, where it began as more aspirational words than real, actual actions, we know despite those origins that our Constitution has evolved through the hard work of many communities, including the Latino community, to ensure that we get closer and closer to making real those aspirational terms of our Constitution. But we currently face forces, powerful forces, who would seek to return our Constitution to its days of exclusion, who would seek, if you would, to impose upon us a country club constitution, a constitution more appropriate for a country club that excludes members based on race, gender, sexual orientation, income, and preserves only the rights of the privileged, the white, and the wealthy. But we will not allow our nation to re-enshrine a country club constitution. We know, without having to be told, what they are trying to do. They are trying to take the inalienable rights, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness identified in our founding documents and turn them into unalien rights, deprived of anyone except those who can trace their origins back to the Mayflower. We know that they want to convert the self-evident truths of our founding documents into lies, so long as they are told often and loudly enough, they believe the populace will buy those lies. They want to turn equal protection from our Constitution into extended privilege for the white, the propertied, and the wealthy. But we know in this room and beyond that we will not go back. And there is a clear connection to the work that we have all done through MALDEF that tells us we will not go back. That state AG invading the home of elderly patriots, helping folks to exercise their right to vote. At MALDEF in 1975, our predecessors worked to expand and ensure that the Federal Voting Rights Act, initially enacted 10 years earlier, would extend to protect the Latino community throughout the Southwest. We must then say to that state attorney general, we will not go back. Those states, including this one, that would seek to empower untrained state court judges to determine who stays and who is exiled, in the face of MALDEF's efforts 30 years ago to establish in California against Proposition 187 the clear superiority, exclusive authority of the federal government in the realm of immigration regulation, we must say to those 3 states and Arizona, we will not go back. those false stories, freely repeated, including in national debates, about immigrants somehow being predators on their neighbors' pets. In the face of MALDEF's efforts to ensure that all immigrants are seen and treated as contributors to our nation through cases like Plyler versus Doe that guaranteed the right of all immigrants to attend school free of charge, to become contributing members. In the face of that effort, we must say to that presidential and vice presidential candidate, we will not go back. They want a country club constitution, but in this room we know that our Constitution is and should be not a country club, but a warm, broad hearth of the home of an abuelita who welcomes everyone into the home, however humble that home may be, to enjoy sopita, chocolate, tamales fresh from the steamer. That's our Constitution. In this room, we know that our community, the Latino community, is called upon once more, a little more than a month from today, to perform our traditional role, which is to say no to the country club constitutionalists, to say no to the threats to democracy, to say no to the underminers of the rule of law. It is our opportunity, once again, to surprise the pundits, to demonstrate repeatedly that we, so often vilified, dehumanized, and viewed as strangers, that we believe in a Constitution that is warm and welcoming, and that we will take the action necessary to ensure that that Constitution, not the country club Constitution, will survive and thrive in this nation, the United States of America. I have said at both of my quinces that all I want for my quince is the restoration of democracy and the rule of law in this country, and I know and believe that everyone in this room and our allies in countless communities beyond will ensure that come November, my wish is granted. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tom. The Latino community is fortunate and so grateful to have had you at the helm of MALDEF for 15 years. Thank you again. Well, as we conclude, thank you all for supporting MALDEF's San Antonio Gala. Let's give another round of applause for each of the honorees and our sponsors. Before we go, I'd also like to give a big round of applause to our amazing wait staff and servers who did a great job tonight. And again, thank you for having me serve as your host on this very special night. It was an absolute honor. Thank you so much. And that concludes tonight's program. See you next year. Gracias.